Welcome to the Evangelistic House of God podcast.
Unscripted discussions on social issues from a Christian's perspective.
Hello and welcome to the Evangelistic House of God podcast. I'm glad you came back to hear us or see us again today. I am Rod Harris, pastor of the Evangelistic House of God. I got Esther Smith with me right here.
How y'all doing?
And we also got Pastor Steve Harris at Evangelistic House of God as well. And he is going to help us navigate these cold waters that we know as social issues from a Christian's perspective. So how y'all doing today?
Very good.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm ready to get going today. I got some good topics for us to discuss.
Let's go.
Well, you know, we got to do our normal. I can't just get going without asking the lady with the beautiful hair how she was doing today.
I'm doing really good, and I'm just really excited about this coffee because the last time we had some coffee here, wasn't it so good?
It was.
It was cold and everything because mine had got cold, but it was still so good, and you taught me how to do it, so I'm excited about that.
So we are using my French press to make us some delicious coffee here. I try to be the perfect host. I try to make sure that we got the right things on set that we need so that we can be happy. Just a little tip. I warmed it to milk this time so that our creamer is nice and warm. And only pour half a cup because we talk a lot and you don't want to drink cold coffee. So if you fill your cup halfway, then you can.
I'm so used to being greedy.
But it ain't going nowhere, so we good.
And I don't even drink coffee, but it is very good.
Man, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm even turning him into a coffee buff.
Right. I really love it. So.
We get him a Starbucks card.
Don't worry about it.
Give it to me. You get it for him, and then you give it to me. I'll take it.
How about an equivalent to something else?
Anyway, so what's going on with you? You just got back from your trip and your batteries recharged. You feeling good?
I feel good. I'm ready to go. I took the day off, vacation day, so
Must be nice. Must be nice.
You saw the look that me and Esther had.
Right.
You know, he has the luxury of working from home.
From home. Mm-hmm.
We don't.
I'm telling you, the hardest working man in show business and the hardest working man anywhere.
First of all.
I saw the yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's move on because that topic is getting stale.
Oh, now it's getting old because you be working from
home. Let's focus on relevant social issues that the world is dealing with. We don't want to spend this hour talking about me. Let's talk about church.
Here we go.
All right.
My favorite subject is church.
Yeah.
Church.
You got me too. Let's go.
Let's talk about church.
Okay.
So church, I know it's my favorite subject, and it's my favorite place to be on the weekends, right? So I think about church starting on Friday. I'm starting to pull out suits and trying to match up ties and shoes and socks, so I can be ready to be fresh as I can be to praise God and get down.
That's right.
With the people I love the most, right?
That's right.
Right.
But as much as I love church, it seems like church is a failing institution almost. And I won't say a failing institution because the people that attend church are getting the benefit of it.
Love it.
But it's hard to get people to come into the
people.
building.
Yep.
And it's like, unless you throw in a concert.
That's true.
I'm serious. Unless you can throw a concert and bring their favorite artist to the city every other week.
Right.
They don't want to come in the building.
Yeah.
Or unless it's if it's got a non-denominational kind of tag to it where they don't have to actually be accountable or held to any standard for anything, then you might be able to get them in. And then that's only really going to be when they feel like it or when they got new shoes.
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
like an Easter type situation.
Yeah. You know, people still focus on coming to church on Easter and Christmas. And what's going on with that? And I'm going to ask Pastor Steve to weigh in first because I'm sure that he's got some thoughts on this.
It's just funny because while you were talking, I was thinking I had, there was a colleague of mine at work, and we talked about, it was around Easter time, right?
Okay.
He was saying, how he was looking so forward to going to church. And I was like, yeah, because, that's second nature for us, right? But then he started to talk about why he was engaged in it. And he was like, he said, I don't go to church other than Easter.
Oh,
right?
okay.
And he just going to say that out, just put it out there right up front.
He didn't just say, he said it with great enthusiasm.
Wow.
Right?
He's proud of that.
Well, I guess it was a part of him that was trying to act as though he was not proud of that, but he was just giving us, his take on it. He was saying, he said, and what I love about it, he said, is at the church that I attend, he said, after the service is over, they have this buffet, it's just spread, with all of these wonderful meats and cheeses. He said, and it's just so good, and I just can't wait to get to it, and I look so forward to it every year. And I just, I looked and I was thinking to myself, man, that's really sad. That's all you
That's
can
your
do
motivation.
That's your motivation.
Go for some food.
In church.
and thinking about
home.
and he's waiting, he's
anticipating this for a year.
Man, yeah.
To get to go to church and eat some cutlets
For
that you could
that
have bought
the one day.
any day of the week.
Yes.
Because he is a working employed person.
But his wife, of course, attends regularly.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
That's how it goes.
I just think that we have society, and I think they have engineered church right out of their lives.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that I don't know where you can affix all of the blame. I think that social media may have something to do with it. I think that the instability of the household, where you have a man and a father and a mother in the house at the same time, I think that has contributed to it as well. I just think I know that people that I talk to have never been to church. They have a lot of ideas about how the church is run and how it should be run.
And what a church should be like.
Right.
And whether or not you're on the right path in your church.
Absolutely. But they have never attended a church, or they have never belonged to a church. Their parents have never attended a church or never belonged to a church. So you're starting to see that it's generations of non-church just being passed down.
Yep.
Because people, and you think about what are you doing on Sunday?
Yeah.
Watching football.
Well, I'm gonna let you guys go from there. But I opened it up.
I'm gonna just say, with our church is under construction for a little while. We didn't have service a couple of Sundays.
Yeah.
Man, I was bored to tears. I didn't know what to do with myself. It's like, normally, and I keep looking at the clock like, right now we be praying for some people. We prayer. Right about now we be introducing the speaker and we be getting that word. It has become such a fabric of my makeup. Yep. It is such a part of who I am as a person and an individual, and not just for me, but for my family. Because, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord.
That's right.
If you ain't do that, then you need to pack you a bag and go on up out of here. But seriously, because that's just the way it has to be for us.
Yes.
In your house, you're a woman, and you're a lot younger than us.
Yeah.
Help us understand what it is. Women fill the churches regardless, right?
Exactly.
The churches, if you ain't got nobody in there, you got you some women in there.
That's true.
And if men come, it's typically because there's a woman in there or they kind of invited them to a church.
Right.
Yeah.
From a woman's perspective, what is that keeps you engaged in church, and why do you think it is that women are so involved in church?
Well, for me, I know that I need God, and I have never put myself on the level of God, and I don't think it's beneath me or above me or whatever to rely on something other than myself, and I think that's something that men have a problem with.
Wow,
men want to be self-made, and I did it, and I went there, and it was me, and it was all me, and typically women don't have that because without God, it ain't nothing. Right. It's a man's world. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So in order to get anything I need, I know I got to go to the Father. I know I got to go to God for it. And so it's not nothing
It's a pride thing for most men.
Agreed. I think it's a pride thing. I think it's a pride thing. I think it's a stubborn thing. I think that like I said, men put themselves on the level of God too often. Mm-hmm. Doctors, it's not God, it's me healing you. It's their hands that's healing. People do it all the time. And then they justify it, especially on social media, where they, want to X out God. Well, the reason why I don't go to church is because that's the white Jesus that the white man gave y'all. Right. And y'all walk through the white. Who said anything about color? Right. Why are you saying white Jesus? Yeah. Jesus is a spirit. You know what I'm saying? You can't see him in the flesh, and he came from Africa. All of us did. So what are you saying? Any excuse will do to keep you, and it's a trick of the devil actually. Yes, to keep the man out of the picture, because the man is the head of the household. And if the man isn't coming to church, then the woman won't come to church. Then the kids won't go to church, and then nobody goes to church, and then you get generation after generation of no church, like you said.
Yeah. Right. In most households, you find that like Pastor Steve was saying, the women will get up and actually come to service and leave a man at home playing, watching football, TV dinners, in his drawers. Yep. The other thing I wanted to talk about, so let's be clear, the people we talking about ain't all doctors.
No, that's true. That's true.
They have this
absolutely not
all God-given ability or this man-made ability to do something. Some of these people don't even have a job. They're not employed. They're not uneducated. They don't have anything to look forward to. And I drive back and forth to Detroit into our church in the cities and stuff, through the neighborhoods, and you see people sitting on their porch with a beer in their hand,
Yep.
and house shoes on, and it's like, couldn't you have done something else with your time and given it to God and created an environment for your community where people reverence God, understand who He is, and then get some real benefit out of it?
Yep.
Well, it's like our men's meetings that we have when we comb the neighborhoods around the where the church is located. And the church is located in the lower income area, or probably one of the lowest in the nation.
Yep.
And it's purposely done that way so that we can be an outreach for the community, so that we can help lift the people up, right? And so we go out, and we were going door to door to door for miles around the church, the perimeter around the church,
Yes.
trying to find people, men and women and children, to come in and talk about, some things that are plaguing them, things that men need to hear so that they can uplift themselves. And, the responses that we got, were not always good. They were just, whatever, we'll hey, can we put this poster in your barber shop? Yeah, go ahead and do that. Can I count on you to come? Oh, well, I'm going to see what I got going on, that same old talk,
Yep.
And then when we end up having the men's meeting, and we advertise on radio, on television,
Yep.
Facebook,
yep.
all type of social media. And then when we have the service, you get a couple of black men or men that come, and then most of the church is filled with women.
That's right.
And it is shameful. It's a real sad situation. And so we as pastors have sat around and we've tried to understand, hey, what can we do to get people excited about coming to the service? Because a lot of them never have been in the service. Yeah. And so they don't know. It's like this the black box, and what goes on in there. But they'll look and they hear the music, but a lot of them just won't venture into the building.
But what I've also found is that typically once they've come into the church and they've actually had a chance to hear the word, to engage in festivities and to get to know the people that's there, getting them to come back is not a hard thing.
Exactly.
Right. It's like once you find out that, oh, this is breaking all of the myths I had against church.
Yep.
They're not begging for my money. They don't care what I dress and look like. They just want to show me some love. They want to help to spread the word of God and make sure that people understand what they know to have gotten the prosperity that they've gotten.
That's right.
And it's not all about material prosperity. When I say prosperity, I'm speaking from both spiritually and naturally.
Yes.
The benefits that you get from coming to church, that word of God that you get, that healing and deliverance that you get from your body, the deliverance, the guidance that you get, the leadership that you find, the camaraderie and the friendship, the true pure love that you get from the saints, is something that you will find nowhere else in the world.
That's so true.
But you also see that when people come into the church, it's almost like they're overwhelmed with love, because and they almost have to take a step back, like, hey, what,
is this real, or you guys fake, or whatever,
But when you like you said, and then there's a curiosity now that has been built up, and it's like, wow, people really do want me to succeed. Everybody is not against you. Everybody is not plotting, to take you down or whatever. Right. But when they start to have that understanding that, hey, I'm a resource for you. I'm here to help you. I'm here to support you. And that's when you start to have those people to start take root into the church.
Right.
Yeah. And then they start contributing and they want to be a part of that force, Right. But it's just, again, getting to that point.
It's almost like you want to trick them, like, hey, it's women in there. You know what I'm saying?
But the thing is that I'm not really. I don't want to do that because I think that it's so genuine, it's so pure, and it's so wonderful that it end up selling itself.
Right. This is something I shouldn't have to try to sell or try to coax you in.
And I totally agree with that. But what else are you gonna say? Because these people are listening to people say that they see the people come out with prosperity. Those people watch us all the time that's around that area. Absolutely. They know that you go in one way, you leave out a whole nother way. Yeah. And they watch us and they say, and keep walking. It's like, how could you visibly see that with your eyes and then say, nah, that ain't for me. I'll just sit on this porch and drink this beer and be poor.
Just hold it down.
It's like, Well, why?
Well, I think a lot of it, to be honest with you, I think they don't see how people go in. They see the result. They see people coming out.
Okay.
And I think a lot of them is they assume that you got to have money or you got to look a certain way. You got to have a nice suit. You got to drive a nice car in order to be a part of that building. You got to have a good job in order to be a part of that church. And what they don't understand and what they don't get to see is that the same people that they see driving nice cars and wearing suits and bringing their children in and out of the church were just like them one day.
Exactly.
There were people that did not have a future. There were people that were in gangs. They were ex-drug dealers.
Yes.
They got out of prison.
That's
and
right.
if you took the time to step inside the church and just listen to the testimony service,
Yes.
you will hear some of the most beautiful and compelling stories
Absolutely.
about people's lives and how God has been able to turn them around.
Exactly.
And that is why these people come back to church. And that's why they drive those nice cars and they
Yep.
got that pretty wife and they got those beautiful children.
Yeah.
It is not because they came in that way. It's because they came in broken. They came in
Yep.
destitute. They came in
right.
hungry for the word of God. And because they were hungry for it, it was able to take root and allow them to make some positive changes in their life.
And that's what the church is for. It's
Yep.
for the broken-hearted and the people that is in desperate need and people who feel like, wow, I've done so many bad things that I don't feel like anything that I do could ever be forgiven. No, that's what the church is for. It's
Yes.
for you. You should be here first. You should be
Yes.
right in there trying to get yourself together, find a new home, and church is more than just a building with service. This is a family.
That's
Yes.
right.
It's your new home. It's brothers and sisters who will love you more and tighter than your own natural. And I think that's another issue, is that the natural appeal or the things that you have done or your the repetitive things that you do in the carnal life, you start to weigh that and it's
Against,
like, well, I'm comfortable here. I would like to have that, but with that life, there's also sacrifices. People that watch us on television, and we've heard the feedback
Right.
time and time again, they say, well, I have always wanted to come to your church, and I'm going to come, but I got to get myself together
first.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, I was
Right,
just
so I'm
gonna
gonna
say
let
that.
y'all talk about
I
that.
was just gonna say that, and I think that that's the craziest thing that you could ever say. How can you, without God, get yourself together? You have not been able to get yourself together all this other time on your own. You have always been in this situation. You're still in this situation, and it's because you haven't did anything different.
Right.
If you never do nothing different, how do you expect different results? That's an insane person to do the same thing over and over again, but expect something different to happen. It never will. You have to step outside of that comfort zone, step outside the box, and give God a try. I don't understand what's so hard about it, honestly.
Also, to add to what you're saying, people will say that though, but never do it. Even if you're talking about self-medicating,
Yeah.
there's still no self-medication that's done. It's almost like something to say, to buy time.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's
So
a
that
nice
you can
excuse?
let it fade and you continue to do what you want to do.
But when you think about people that want to fix themselves or they say, I got to get myself together, and Pastor's right. I have seen men come in and they talk about the wonderful time they had, the deliverance that they felt, the power, the love.
Yes.
They talk like that and they say, I say, well, we'll see you next week. Wow, I got to get myself together. And it's like, wait, stop. You didn't need to get yourself together when you felt that emotion that you felt, when you felt that spirit touch your body, when you felt that healing take place in your body. It wasn't because you was together.
Exactly.
And if you could have gotten yourself together, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
That's right.
Exactly.
You would already be together. We would be
Yes.
talking about the next lesson that's coming out, and
Right.
we'd be working together to help build God's kingdom.
Yes.
It takes a leap of faith, and then even a big leap. Because if you just try it just a little bit, if you just showed up once, you could actually see the power of God working in the midst, and it will change your life.
I agree. Got to give it a chance.
You got to give it a chance. So it's not just people that have never been to church, because we know it's a lot of people that have never been to a church. And then there are some people that used to go to church and they got churched out, so they say, right?
Yeah.
Lost their faith. They felt like, things weren't going right. They
Church
judged the
hate.
leadership. They got church hate. I've even heard
Yes.
people say stuff like, well, I just feel like this church is going in the wrong direction. And I'm like, that's interesting, because how many churches have you built in the right direction?
Right.
But regardless to my perspective on it, people lose interest in church for a reason. And let's talk about some of those things. Why do you think it is that people simply just lose faith or lose interest in church?
I think people, they don't want to give up something that they know is against the rules and the ordinance, not of the church, but of God.
Yes.
And they don't want to give up certain things in their life. But the thing is okay, well, until you're strong enough to let it go, still attend church. Church is there to help build you up.
Yes.
Right. Give you the strength that you need to continue to fight so that one day that you will be strong enough to walk away from it.
Yes.
Exactly.
But then they say, well, I don't like it and I'm uncomfortable, so I leave, right?
Right.
But then there's no help for you at that point. So that's one area.
Yeah. I think another area, and this is not on a certain person or a certain group, but this is just a general thing, is that there's not enough outward love sometimes. And some people, they want to feel the outward love. And that's, see, I almost don't want to say this, because in our church, it's no excuse for that. We have outward love, but I have, it is so evident. And so, but I have heard people and seen people from other churches, and they say stuff like, well, they don't care about me there. And I'm just another member there. And they're not really interested in me, and they don't really know me. But see, again, I almost don't want to say it, because in our church, we know you. We love you.
Right. But we're not talking just to people that go only to our church. And so when I'm thinking about what you just said, there is a reason that they feel like they're not engaged in church and that the people don't care about them. And a lot of times it's not that the leadership and the ministry doesn't care about them as an individual or you as a person. A lot of times it's because you're not engaged. Mm-hmm. And if you found yourself getting engaged in some of the church activities, maybe it's you get in the choir, maybe it's some ushering that you can do, it's some construction that's going on. Have you ever thought about looking around and coming to your ministers or pastors and saying, hey, I noticed there's some ceiling tiles that's missing over there in the men's bathroom. I'd like to bring some of those in and replace them. It's getting involved in the service of church more than just sitting in the pew.
Sure.
And when you come every week and you sit in the pew and you have no activities tying you to the ownership of the church,
yes,
then it's very hard for you to say, they don't love me there.
Yeah.
Or I don't feel like people are interested in me.
Yeah.
If you were totally interested in the church, then you would feel like you have some kind of ownership there. You would feel like you belong there. You wouldn't be waiting on somebody to make you feel good about showing up in a building. And I'm going to tell you, one of the reasons I love church so much is because I took ownership.
Yeah.
I decided that this was my church, this was my building, and I was going to do everything I could to make it beautiful, make it work for me and my people.
Yeah. But there's a lot of people that want to be entertained.
That's true.
Yeah, well, we talked about that.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, but that's what you're saying. They want to be entertained. They want somebody to go out of their way and to do all of these things while you just sit back and don't do nothing.
Right.
And then you critique how well they were able to entertain you.
Exactly.
and that's not what church is about.
No, it's not.
Another thing I would like to say is I started off talking about how the allure of something outside will pull you out.
Yes.
Right? A lot of times, Pastor, a man or a woman
yes
will always, I shouldn't say always, but most of the time will be one of the reasons behind somebody leaving the church.
Unfortunately, that's true.
They want to have a relationship with somebody who is outside of the church, or they feel like, and then all of a sudden, what God has to say about fornication. And you don't, now all of a sudden it's a problem. It's a problem with the church.
Yep.
They're too tight. We're restrictive. We're not, we're not modern. We're not, and it's all, then it's the church's fault.
Yep.
Because you can't go out and do the things that your flesh
exactly
would want you to do.
Yep.
Well, you talked about that, and Pastor Steve touched on it when we first started the conversation. Church was designed and created for sinners. So if you are in a position where you feel like, I don't want to give up this woman, or I don't want to give up cigarettes, or I don't want to give up weed, or I don't want to give up this lifestyle that I use, whether it's a gay lifestyle or whatever, the place to get refuge and deliverance from that thing is inside the church. That is where you build your strength.
Yes.
You can't build strength against sin, living in sin.
Exactly.
If you want to build strength against sin, then you have to come to where the opposite of that is, and actually have that to have to build upon.
That's right.
Agreed.
And so the encouragement and the lesson that we're talking about today is, if you've never been in a church, if you attend a church and you're not totally engaged and you don't feel like you are part of it or take ownership of that church, you need to start getting engaged to a point where you feel like this is yours.
Yes.
It don't take a lot, because if you give it anything, a little bit goes a long way.
Yes.
And if you just try to open up a little bit, you will find that you love the place that you're at, and you can find that you love the people that are there as well.
That's right. But I think that goes hand in hand with just life in general, is when you take ownership of something.
Yes.
And when you vested in something, when you put your money into it, your blood, your sweat, your tears, your time into something, you now are willing, you want to see that is going to, succeed.
Yes.
Exactly.
You want to make sure that everybody is engaged, and that's where women, I think, do a really great job in the church, is that they come in and they just take ownership.
That's right.
They grab this, and some people criticize because they have all of these different committees, but they're getting things done.
That's true.
And they feel like they're a part of something.
Absolutely.
And if they don't have a committee, they'll create one just so they can get engaged in something.
That's
right.
And I think it's a wonderful thing, especially if they get in leading and they, following process and protocol and all that kind of stuff. You got to have order in any organization. But you're absolutely right, Pastor Steve. I think that's a good point. Is that one of the things I think ties women to the church so hard, aside the fact that what Esther brought out about pride not being in their way, is the fact that they find themselves engaged in so many activities that they always feel welcome there.
Yep, because it's theirs now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, this was a good conversation.
It was.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I like this. Y'all didn't drink any coffee. I didn't have 2
I know.
cups. So I'm all wired up and ready to go. But
I'm trying to talk, man. I can't pour in because I'm trying to listen, and it's almost like when you in church and the preacher's preaching, and it's like I can't hardly say amen because I might miss something.
Right.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Next time I'm gonna pour my coffee before we start, and then I can.
I usually can do both. I don't know what's wrong with me. I talked it up and then
Well,
you get none.
I'm used to it being the hardest working man that we know.
Oh my goodness.
I pretty much have to multitask
We back
for
on
everything
this?
I do.
Only momentarily. We closing. So.
No, we are.
Yeah, we close. We close it for real this time. Hey, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching us. Always find us here at ehogministries.com or on YouTube or Facebook. Evangelistic House of God podcast. We thank you for joining us, and we hope you have a blessed day. Goodbye.
Bye.